Kusuzangpo and welcome. From informing public to holding those in positions of power accountable for their actions, journalists play a crucial role for several reasons. However, behind their impactful work lies a story of challenges and perseverance. What obstacles do our journalists face, and how do they navigate them? As we commemorate World Press Freedom Day, we delve into these questions in today's segment. What makes this conversation particularly exciting is that reporters are tirelessly giving voice to the voiceless, yet sometimes we forget we have our own voices too. Yes, reporters are in a constant battle to unearth information, which is really difficult. So to have this exciting conversation, I have three fellow reporters and editors who have the first-hand experience as to how it is to be a journalist in Bhutan. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. Now, before we start off with other questions, please introduce yourself, including how you chose to be a journalist.
Okay, so my name is 𝗪𝗀𝗀 𝗪𝗀𝗀. I'm the editor of the Bhutanese newspaper, and I chose to be a journalist right off college. Well, I did a couple of internships and I found that I am attracted to this profession, and that's how I joined.
My name is 𝗪𝗍𝗍 and then I work with Quinsel as reporter. And then the reason why I'm here into journalism today is that my background also is more to do with journalism. I studied BA in English media and then English media, so that's how I joined journalism.
Kusuzangpo to all our viewers, I'm 𝗪𝗍𝗍𝗪𝗍𝗀. I work as an editor and reporter here at the Bhutan Broadcasting Service. It was by chance that I started interning at Quinsel, where I was sent to the newsroom as an intern. So that's where my stint as a journalist began when I was in college. And since then, I haven't looked back. And this is my 8th year at PBS, and then maybe, I guess, about 10 years practicing journalism.
Thank you so much. Now, lamsang here has 18 years of experience as a journalist, which is quite a long time of being in that profession. Since we are celebrating World Press Freedom Day today, how do you think is press freedom in the country?
So I think I would say it's a mixed picture, a mixed bag. Let's start with the negative first. On the negative, over the last couple of years, there has been a decline in access to information, which especially the reporters are facing, and more so the younger reporters. And most of our newsrooms are quite young because of the high attrition rates. So it's a double whammy. And then on the other aspects, the issues of sustainability has always been there. High attrition rates have always been there. And on the positive side, I think journalists in Bhutan are not killed or kidnapped or beaten up. So the safety aspect is a positive, is how I would put it.
Right. Now, going to Krishna, it's your second year in Quinsel, and you are still a very young reporter.
Yeah.
Now, press freedom, when we link press freedom to you being a very young journalist, how do you think press freedom is in the country as of now? Yeah.
So as you said, I'm young into journalism, and then this is my second year practicing journalism. And then looking at the current scenario, the situation in the country, I feel that yes, there are some challenges in getting access to information. So when I say that there are some challenges, I have to be here particular that whenever we seek for information or whenever we try to collect information, there are always hurdles in between. So the hurdles here, I mean to say that the bureaucratic process, there is a lengthy bureaucratic process where the information that we look for gets delayed. And then in such a way, I feel that the young reporters and then even the people who are new into profession, they feel demotivated. And then that's how I assess the current situation in the country.
Right. Now going to 𝗪𝗍𝗪𝗍, what do you think about press freedom in the country, given that you are a reporter for TV? Is there a separate challenge as to how the press freedom is specifically for you?
It's the challenges remains the same, be it paper or television, but then just getting information is not enough for us in television. We also have to have people, since we are a visual medium, we also have to have people coming on the screen and speaking to us, and that poses a lot of challenge, because people by nature shy away from cameras, so that's one factor. And on the other hand, to papers they can give anonymous voices, right? They can just slip in some information, and papers can print according to an anonymous source. But then for us, what do we put as visuals? Of course we can make use of a lot of graphical elements, but then to give that human touch to our news stories. And when we do not have that human touch, because people are not willing to speak to us, be it general population or those who hold information. So that's where the challenge comes in, the additional challenge of being a television reporter.
Right, right. Now, talking to 𝗪𝗀𝗀 and then Krishna, how about challenges faced by print media, and specifically to 𝗪𝗀𝗀, you being a reporter and editor for a private media, how do you feel you know the access to information is to you specifically?
Okay. So I think when it comes to access to information, the challenge is quite similar, though technically it might be a bit different for TV. So I think the main issue is that if you can go in sequence, the problem started, I mean, bureaucracy in officialdom in Bhutan has never been open to the media. It's been there for decades and is nothing new. But it started getting especially tight from 2022 onwards. And if I can go in sequence, on 4th April 2022, there was a press release issued by the Ministry of then Agriculture and Forests saying that 2 foresters have been compulsorily retired for talking to the media, because they didn't want to go on a posting, and they came out and talked to a couple of media outlets. I think that was a mistake, because the Ministry of Agriculture actually meant to say they have been compulsorily retired for insubordination, for not going on the transfer, and for criticizing the agency publicly. So they withdrew the first press release which said it's for talking to the media, but it was too late. It went viral on social media, and then that was the first wave. The second wave came when a bureaucrat in the Ministry of then Economic Affairs, chief level person, I think on Twitter he wrote something which was mildly critical of his own agency, and there was action taken against him. The third wave was the RADA rules that RCSC took out, and that, if I remember correctly, was in July 2022, where they said that where it laid out penalties for civil servants for disclosing critical information or national security information. And then the fourth wave came in December 2022, when ACC came out with the model code of conduct, again stressing that the bureaucracy can't talk to the media, you know, there has to be a spokesperson and all that, and can't share. So when these happened, it played a complete dampener on the media as a whole. And then in the same year, I think the Media Council, which was there as part of the changes, was also abolished, and everything went back to BICMA. So all of these factored in and then dampened the media climate. But then I think it's important to clarify, because when this happened, I as a journalist went to RCSC and to ACC to clarify, and also to the Agriculture Ministry, on these 3 important events that is impacting all of us now. So the Agriculture Ministry clarified, as they already did, that it was not for talking to the media, but only for insubordination, which is purely within their rights under the BCSR. The RCSC, I talked to one of the drafting members of the RADA rules, and that person very clearly said that what we meant was civil servants cannot share information like somebody's medical record or a tender notification, you know, before the tender is given. And ACC also said the same thing. So all of them said that bureaucrats can share public information and correct information, so there is no restriction on that. But unfortunately, because of this sequence of events, I think the wrong message has gone, and I think this is a great opportunity given by BBS to clarify that what the actual fact is.
Right. Now, Krishna, you working as a journalist for the last 2 years, do you have an experience to share whereby you were like, you had a difficult time getting information from from government organization or any offices?
Yeah, so let me not reveal the particular organization or the office here, but then this challenge is there. So whenever we go for collecting information or seeking information, so as I have already mentioned here, there are hurdles, like whenever we ask for information, we have to go through a proper channel, and then here I have to say that that channel is okay, but then it has to go well. So here what happened is that, and then the current practice is that they have media focal in some agencies, and then the problem with media focal is that usually the media focal or the spokesperson is a junior officer, and then the media focal has to approach to the higher authority or the senior officer. So here what happens is that in between the information gets delayed, and then from the newsroom or from we have to submit the story on time, and then when we don't get the information on time, then it creates some kind of inconveniences. So here the main problem is between the media focal and then the senior officers. So usually even when the media focal approach or send the questions to the senior officers, they usually the kind of ignorance is there, and then sometimes even when we get the response, they say that they don't have anything to say on that. So when they have such kind of environment, then usually it creates inconvenience for us.
Right, right. Now along that line, 𝗪𝗱, I also had this wonderful conversation this morning with a fellow journalist, whereby he said that, just like Krishna said, access to information is there. In fact, access is there, information is there, just access to timely information is there, which is why a lot of news are dead by the end of the day. So what do you have to say about this?
So along the lines what 𝗪𝗲𝗀 𝗪𝗀 said and what Krishna mentioned, 𝗪𝗲𝗀 𝗪𝗀 started from mentioned about how it became worse since 2022. During the same time, I was also doing a study on how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted on access to information for the Bhutanese media. And the responses that I received from the journalists is that, of course, access to information wasn't necessarily easy pre-pandemic, but it has become worse post-pandemic. All the examples cited by 𝗪𝗲𝗀 𝗪𝗀 and how what Krishna mentioned right now, how we have those media focal persons, but they're not well-rounded. They have to go to another person, they're superior to get that information that can be given to the media houses. They are not in a position to speak on behalf of the agencies that they're representing to the media. So that's where the problem is being created, and it so happens that his superior or her superior has to report it to their superior, and at many a times we reach a point where we end up calling the ministers, because that's the ultimate authority, because the chief will say director, director will say secretary, secretary will say minister. So we ultimately end up with the minister. So that's how that's the challenge that the both of them mentioned, and that's how information gets delayed, and that's how we are not able to give timely information to consumers.
Right. Yeah. Now to you, 𝗪𝗀𝗀 again. It's been your 18 years, and then you are quite a prominent figure in the field of investigative journalism. And I'm sure a lot of people out there are asking, if Tenzin Lomsong from the Bhutanese can do it, why is the BBS and Quinsel not bringing up some sensational stories? How do you do that? I mean, how do you, because we are talking about access to information right now, how do you access it?
Yeah, so correct. I think I would say that to be perfectly honest with you, that it's become difficult even for me these days, because the 90% of the information that journalists are looking for is actually public information, which should be made available publicly, something like a growth rate, or some kind of data, which should be publicly available. And when that is not available, like for example, I have a newsroom with mostly young reporters, and we discuss story ideas, editorial meeting, and then they are not able to fulfill their story ideas because the official in charge is not giving them the information. So because of my experience and my skill in this field, I can get certain stories, but this is a boat in which all of us are together. And if the boat is sinking, then we go down together. So while I may be able to pump out stories, and it's not easy for me, it's getting more difficult also. If my colleagues in the newsroom are not able to get, then we suffer as a team. So yes, investigative journalism requires more time, more input, and then also you need to spend some time in the profession as well. So now, because of the challenging landscape, mediascape in Bhutan, reporters are suffering from a very high attrition rate. So I am, like I was saying, as we were discussing before, one of the few dinosaurs left. But the newsroom is mostly of young people, high attrition rate, issues of career progression and all that. And when you don't supply them information, it discourages them so much. So I think that's what I can say.
Right. Attrition. We are talking about attrition, young people, and discouragement. Krishna, what do you have to say about this? This is your second year as a journalist in Quinsel. Do you have any, because of the challenges that you as a journalist face in Bhutan, do you have any plans to, just leave the job and go?
Before that, let me state the fact here. So whenever we write stories or cover stories, usually people say that the story is not worthy to publish. And then here, what the government or whoever has to know is that they have to, if they have provided a better information, then there will be quality. So as a young journalist, as Sir has already mentioned, we have more of young reporters in the newsroom. So when we have young reporters, usually the way they approach for information or the way they go for collecting information, they are new. So obviously they will have challenges. So as a young reporter, at present I don't have any plans to leave the profession or anything as such. So maybe in future, who knows?
Right. Now going to 𝗪𝗲. 𝗪𝗲, today Reporters Without Borders revealed this year's report, and Bhutan has performed very low, has ranked 147, and last year we were at 90. What do you have to say about that?
Honestly, when I saw the numbers, I was not expecting that number. Tenzin Lamsang and I were discussing the numbers together, and both of us were taken aback by the number. Of 57 position drop was not expected. Given, I would want to be honest here. Like you said, information is there, access is there. It's just that the process that takes to get that information has turned out to be a bit lengthy, and sometimes it doesn't help the cause of the reporters, because we have to meet deadlines, right? But the numbers, I thought like our rankings have been kept afloat. In the higher number in the previous years because of our security indicator, which has drastically dropped this time around. So, and on the other hand, we can also see that in the legislative side, where we see how the laws and legal and rules and procedures are allowing reporters to get easily access to aid them to easily access information. That also dropped significantly. The economic indicator, how media and media landscape is sustaining in the country, that has also significantly dropped. And one of the highlight of the ranking is that the political indicator also saw a huge drop in the ranking. So I do not really agree with the ranking, but we have to accept it, and it also reflects that, it also shows us that there are issues, underlying issues that we in the media and those in the governance has to look at to addressing this ranking.
Yes, Lamsang. Now,
My views.
Right. We are at 147. What do you think about the authenticity of this report? Because I was looking at this number and I thought, we are bad. Of course, I must agree that. But are we this bad?
No. So, a few years ago, Bhutan's media ranking shot up dramatically. We jumped quite a few places. I don't remember exactly, but it was a few years ago. And at that time, I think it was in the time of the second government. And then at that time, reporters questioned that, saying, how did our media ranking improve so much when nothing much has changed in Bhutan, you know. So this time around, I think reporters and journalists, I mean, essentially the same. I think we will question that how did we drop so much when nothing much has changed, you know. Because the big drop, so because to be clear, this report is for 2023. It's called the 24, but it's for the year 2023. And there was nothing in 2023 that happened which was so bad that our ranking should drop so much. In 2022, of course, I mentioned a sequence of events that led to the ranking drop of 57 places, where we dropped from 33 to 90. And then this year we have dropped, I mean this year for the year 23, we have dropped from 90 to 147, another 57 places, right? So I think, I mean, while there are two ways to look at it. One is, of course, I don't think this is in touch with reality. Nothing that bad has happened in 23. So this is maybe some kind of ranking anomaly or technical issue, or, you know, or maybe they picked up some group somewhere, released some report which is not good about Bhutan. And so, you know, there are a variety of factors. And then the other way to look at it is, I think our good times are finally over when it comes to media rankings. Because for many years we enjoyed high ranking because reporters didn't get killed or kidnapped or beaten up. And then compared to other countries, we're like, oh, Bhutan is so safe. But now I think the reality is known to foreign experts, and they find that's why our economic ranking has dropped the sharpest, if you can see, you know. It has dropped the sharpest. That is the issue of sustainability, you know. The government has been coming up with, for example, from the previous government's time, e-procurement, you know, where all the advertisements are now being put online and are not being given to media houses. So that is affecting sustainability and growth of media houses. Then on the political issue, also the other big drop is political, and I suspect that is because the Media Council was abolished and then everything was given back to BIGMA, you know. So while I feel the drop is too sharp and it shouldn't be so much, I would have been okay if it was the same ranking as last year, you know, around 90, but it's a bit too sharp. But now the good times are over, I'm saying, and now the world is finally, the foreign experts are finally taking a much more critical view of us.
All right, this is a very interesting conversation, but we will have to continue this conversation after 10 p.m. news.